and welcome to the first installment of My Dad Does Not Listen to This. I'm Juliet the Daughter.
And I'm Kevin the Dad.
And no, listeners, you did not tune into the wrong podcast because, well, we were trying to think of doing something for Halloween because, it's coming up next week. And we were like, what is something that for us would be really, really scary? And we decided we could think of nothing scarier than listening to bad music on purpose. So we got all of these songs from Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs. Now, Dad's bio is going to be a little shorter than normal because, well, we got a lot to say about this music. So, Dad, take it away.
Thank you, Jules. Dave Barry was a humor columnist for the Miami Herald from 1983 to 2004. Check out his website, davebarry.com, for a more complete biography.
And that's it, because we got a lot to say. But, Dad, can you just tell the listeners about how you picked these songs?
Well, Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs grew from a column he wrote in 1992 about why they never play good songs on the radio. Dave wrote how he didn't like Neil Diamond's song, I Am, I Said, especially because of that line, and no one heard it all, not even the chair. People wrote in attacking Dave, but just as many people wrote in defending Dave. Plus, people would come up to him saying, you know such and such a song? I hate it. So he dedicated 2 columns to the Bad Song Survey, but it wasn't enough. So in 1997, Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs came out, and 25 years later, it needs updating. So Dave, please consider it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I went through Dave's book and picked out 12 songs I cannot stand. And believe me, there's more than 12 songs in that book that I hate. And we'll do it since it's Halloween almost. We're doing 13 songs. And for the 13th song, I picked one from the past 25 years that is not in Dave's book. And I made my poor daughter listen to all of them. Yeah. Now, since she is 23, this does not qualify as child abuse.
Just regular abuse.
And heck, she may even actually like one or 2 of them. Let's find out. But be warned. For some of you listeners of a certain age, just mentioning one of these songs' titles may cause your brain to dredge it up from deep, dark recesses, and it will be on repeat in your brain over and over and over until you're wondering, where the hell did you put that ice pick to make it stop?
And I would also say a reverse warning, if you like some of these songs, we are going to tear them apart. And for one of them, I will be dropping one F-bomb and one F-bomb only because it deserves it. Dad may curse a little more than me, but listen to this episode if you have thick skin.
Again, you have been warned. So, in no particular order?
Here we go. First one, MacArthur Park. I can hear some people in our listeners saying, yeah, I knew that was going to be on there. Okay, so I have heard this song before. First time was when Mom played it in her car from Jimmy Webb's album. I think it's 10
Easy Pieces.
Easy Listening Pieces. And with that version, I was just mostly listening to the piano playing, which I really liked hearing because Jimmy Webb can really play piano. The second time was when we did our Weird Al episode and we covered Jurassic Park. The original version, MacArthur Park, becomes funnier when you can hear the people screaming as they're being eaten by dinosaurs during the instrumental. Ah! I wanted to listen to the original Richard Harris version to compare and contrast. I lasted about 3 minutes. Now, here's what I like. I love the full orchestral arrangement because I love it when songs go all out with strings, brass, and percussion. The music is not what I have a problem with. And I don't have a problem with Richard Harris's singing either. I think what people are not used to is how strong his vibrato is. You either love the sound of vibrato or you don't. For me, it depends on the singer, and with him I don't mind, but maybe it's because, well, I'm a fan of him in general. And he could sing Camelot as well. He wasn't as good as Burton, but he was fine. And he tries to hit the tenor notes here, but he is not a tenor. Luckily, the chorus girls take over. What I have a problem with is the lyrics, because they're 90% perfect. The bridge where he sings about this woman being the love of his life is absolutely beautiful. After all the loves of my life, I'll be thinking of you and wondering why. That is gorgeous. What throws me off is the stupid imagery. I don't get what he's referring to with the cake in the rain. And what threw me off first was the pair of striped pants. How is that like love's hot fevered iron? What? Now, Dad had me listen to the second version of this song by Donna Summer. As for her version, I really love her voice and how the strings are featured more prominently here. But even her beautiful vocals don't distract from the stupid cake analogy. At least they got rid of the striped pants. And then we have the outer space disco noises, which throw you for a loop. My guess is people on the dance floor were so into moving and grooving, or so drugged out of their minds, they didn't bother to ask themselves who thought this song should have a dance remix. My thoughts are, the original is almost perfect, we just need to get rid of the cake and give those lyrics a better rewrite. As for Donna, she sounds amazing, but we don't really need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this Richard Harris, 1968. 10 weeks in the top 40, made it all the way to number 2. And Donna Summer, 1978, 15 weeks in the top 40, 3 of those weeks at number 1. Now, in 1967, producer Bones Howe asked songwriter Jimmy Webb to craft a pop song with different movements and time signatures.
Which is a cool idea.
Webb came up with MacArthur Park. Bad sign number 1, Howe didn't care for it. Bad sign number 2, the group The Association, for whom Howe had intended to record it, rejected it. Now, when one of the lamest groups ever rejects your song, you know you're in trouble. Now, Webb met actor Richard Harris at a fundraiser. Harris, who had just starred in Camelot, wanted to make a record and brought up the idea to Webb, who didn't take Harris seriously. Maybe he thought Harris was still blotto from one of his drinking binges with Peter O'Toole.
It could be.
Harris later sent Webb a telegram saying, "Come to England and let's make a record." Webb went there and played a bunch of songs for Harris, but nothing really hit the actor until Webb pulled out MacArthur Park. Harris, probably in the midst of another drinking binge with O'Toole, loved it. They recorded the song in Hollywood with the Wrecking Crew as the musicians. It's a living. The song got released as a single.
Yes.
All 7 minutes and 21 seconds of it. There was no edit. This in the era of the 3-minute pop song. The song made it to number 2 on the Billboard singles charts, only to be stopped by one of your mom's most favorite songs ever.
What?
Herb Alpert's This Guy's in Love with You.
Oh, yeah.
10 years later, Donna Summer released a disco dance version that came in 3 sizes. Small, a 3-minute 59-second radio edit. Large, the 8-minute 27-second album version. And a Are You Freaking Kidding Me? Ginormous 17-minute 37-second 12-inch single version.
So she supersized it, basically.
Which I found out I have on disc 2 of the deluxe edition of Bad Girls. And yes, I listened to the whole darn thing.
He didn't make me listen to it because he loves me.
The things I do for our listeners. Anyway, Donna's version hit number 1 in 1978. 2 years later, Donna met Jimmy Webb. He said to her, "See that Ferrari? You bought me that."
Thanks, Donna.
15 years later, Weird Al showed us why this song was created in the first place.
Yes, this is the only reason I'm glad this song exists.
So he could do his great parody song, Jurassic Park. Now, as for the lyrics, Webb intended them to be about his relationship with Susie Gordon.
Okay.
They would meet at the park in L.A. sometimes for lunch, because she worked at Etna, which was across the street from the park.
Oh.
Anyway, Webb said that everything in the song happened. The checkers playing guys, and yes, someone did leave a cake out in the rain.
Really? Why? Did he ever find out?
I don't know, but who does that? Like, you're at the park, and yeah, I've got this cake with me. I'm just going to put it next to me on the bench. Oh, I got to go now.
You know
How
what
could
I
you forget
bet?
the cake?
Maybe it was one of those things where someone was in a rush to get the bus, and then they get on the bus, and then they realize, where's the cake for the party? Oh, no.
Yep.
I could see
Now,
that
as for the
happening.
lyrics, my favorite bad lines are at the beginning, which you read part of them. Spring was never waiting for us, girl. It ran one step ahead as we followed in the dance. Between the parted pages and were pressed in love's hot fevered iron like a striped pair of pants.
What does that even mean?
And yes, Richard Harris sings it striped because he is British.
No. He's Irish.
Oh,
He's
okay,
Irish.
sorry.
Don't you put that in
Sorry,
his mouth.
sorry.
Don't you dare.
I can put anything in his mouth now because he's dead.
Oh, don't say that. Ooh.
Yeah, it came out wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, plus MacArthur Park is melting in the dark. All the sweet green icing flowing down. Does that mean that the cake left out in the rain was shaped like the park itself? Could this be a challenge for the Great British Baking Show?
That'd be hilarious.
Harris's quivering voice gives the lyrics much more emotion than they deserve.
Yeah.
Like you said, his vibrato drives me nuts.
It's not for everybody.
And some of the way that he sings, I'm using my quote fingers,
He can't sing.
sounds like recitation or a hammy actor delivering a really bad soliloquy.
Well, he's not Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady.
There's a whole genre of actors who think they can sing, then they made records, and God help us, they had hits.
AKA the Golden Throats. That's what it was called.
Well, yeah, you've got Richard Harris, Bruce Willis, Don Johnson. Luckily, William Shatner never had hits.
And Leonard Nimoy with the Bilbo song. Does that count as a hit?
No, if it didn't make the top 40, no.
Say what you will, that tuba player goes off in that song. Anyway.
Dave Barry's readers voted MacArthur Park worst song ever, and after listening to this codswallop, I think they may be right. Maybe.
No, there's some... Oh, we'll get there when we
Next.
get there. Feelings. Okay, I like the acoustic guitar at the beginning. Very forlorn and romantic. And again, I love the melancholy piano and the use of strings. Listeners, you're going to pick up on a pattern here. The music is very rarely my issue, except when it is. But we'll get there when we get there. Now, the singer has a pleasant voice, and the backup singers sound heavenly. I think what gets me, though, is how many times he says the word feelings. Just keep it to the chorus. The chorus by itself is great with those vocal harmonies, but we need different words in the verses. At first, I'm like, aw, he's overwhelmed with feelings post-breakup. But then the writer in me went, please give us a greater variety of words. Like whenever I write scripts for voice actors, I always make sure I don't use the same words over and over because it's noticeable. Now, this song is not awful. It captures the emotion really well, but like MacArthur Park, it needs a rewrite to make it work. Only this rewrite will have to be more substantial than MacArthur Park. MacArthur Park needs a chorus rewrite plus one verse. This one needs all of the verses rewritten. So not awful, just needs more time to be edited.
Okay, this is by Morris Albert. Came out in 1975. 16 weeks in the top 40, made it to number 6. Morris Albert, now real name Mauricio Alberto Kaiserman, who was born into an Austrian immigrant family in Brazil.
Wow.
Draw your own conclusions.
Oh.
Anyway, Morris Albert wrote it and sang it, probably because no one else would. In 1986, French songwriter Louis Gast sued Albert for plagiarizing his 1956 song, Pour Toi. Gast won and got a songwriting credit. Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley recorded their own versions of Feelings.
Really?
More proof that the 70s were a lousy decade for both of them, especially for the king. Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Trying to forget my feelings of love. Well, Mo, if you stop singing about them, maybe you could. And let's not forget the deathless feelings. Whoa. Feelings. I lost track of how many times Mo sings the word feelings and whoa.
Let's put it this way. If you had a drinking game where you had to take a shot every time you said feelings, you'd wind up in the hospital with liver failure.
Now, Julie Andrews once said this song was difficult to sing because it had no meaning to it. I love this woman so much.
Thank you, Dame Julie.
Jump to 1979, 1980. I'm taking Portuguese, European, not Brazilian, in high school. Mr. Silva is teaching us the word gostar, to like. The setup was she liked the song Feelings, or as we call it in Portuguese, sentimentos. I'm not making that up.
No.
And she asked every single one of us individually if we liked it. We had to answer in Portuguese either sim, eu gosto, or não, eu não gosto.
Eu não gosto.
Every single one of us answered now, eu não gosto. What a shock.
It was probably a shock to her.
It was.
What was she
It
doing?
really was. She was surprised that none of us liked it.
I don't know what to tell you, lady, if you're still alive.
We didn't get flunked.
Well, that's a good sign. That's a good teacher. Next song? Or do you have more to say on this one? Okay, next song. Cats in the Cradle. My first note. All these white men from the 70s look the same. They like the same hair going on. I don't know.
It was the singer-songwriter era.
Oh,
Or era. E-E-E-R-R-O-R.
yeah. Oh, I hate the music in this. That stupid sitar-esque sound, and then it's a ballad with percussion, and then strings, and I can't decide if it's a country song or a ballad. I think the story could be interesting. An absent dad whose son turns out to be just like him. That could make for a great nuanced song. But I just got bored instantly because I don't care about this guy and his kid. I mentally checked out for a good portion of this. And the hey diddle diddle reference is just dumb. He also sounds a little too at peace with ditching his kid, which I don't like. probably one of the most skippable songs I've heard, only I couldn't skip it.
I appreciate that. If I had to listen to the whole thing, you had to listen to the whole thing.
Yep.
Anyway, this is Harry Chapin, 1974. 12 weeks in the top 40, made it all the way to number 1 for 1 week. Now, by all accounts, Harry Chapin was a great guy. He worked to combat hunger, played lots of benefit concerts, and it's estimated donated a third of his paid concerts to charitable causes.
Wow.
As a songwriter, well, he can't take the full blame for this one, though, as the song started as a poem his wife Sandra wrote, documenting the awkward relationship between her first husband and his father.
Oh.
My child arrived just the other day. He came to the world in the usual way, which I'm assuming means a vaginal birth as opposed to cesarean.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically the narrator has a busy life and can't make time for his son, who promises/threatens, I'm going to be like you, Dad. You know, I'm going to be like you.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Just guess.
It happens.
Yep.
What a shock.
The telltale sign would have been when the kid comes home from college. Dad wants to hang out, but son just wants the car keys. Mm-hmm. And the kicker at the end, Dad's retired, calls up son to arrange a visit because, hey, he's got time now. But son is too busy now, what with the job and his kids having the flu. Hey, at least he's aware that his kids are sick.
Yeah.
Someone call Alanis Morissette because, oh, the irony.
Nah.
The irony. Oh. And plus, at one point, I can't blame the kid because you know what he got for his 10th birthday?
What?
A ball. A ball, and that was it.
Sorry,
So
I don't mean to laugh.
really can't blame the son
Yeah.
for you know, shutting out the dad from his life.
Happy birthday, son. Here's a ball.
Yeah, the only good thing about this song is my cousin David does it as a rap, and it is absolutely hysterical.
Oh, okay. Next track, Honey. The first thing I thought of when I heard those opening lyrics is Brent Black would have a stroke. Brent is one of my mutuals through Musicals with Cheese who got an MFA in musical theater composition at NYU Tisch, and he's writing his own Star Trek parody musical called Khan! Dad likes him for his deconstruction of Danny Elfman's lyrics in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now, if you listen to any of Brent's Musicals with Cheese episodes, you know he has very specific rules he follows when it comes to lyric writing and what makes for a good rhyme versus a bad rhyme. And the opening lines of "See the tree, how big it's grown, but friend, it hasn't been too long," would send him through the roof. But what the hell is this song even about? And oh my God, he insults this woman pretty badly. She's kind of dumb, but kind of smart. And when she fell, he cried, and she's
Laughed until he cried.
laughed until he cried. That's it. And she's crying over late shows, but he misses her. And she wrecked the car. But what the heck? This song is hilarabad. It is so bad and awful, but it's hilarious. I sent this song to all my friends so they could laugh too at it because, oh my God, I'm so grateful that this song exists because it is bafflingly entertaining. It takes itself so seriously, even though it's so badly written, which makes it even more funny. I needed that for some amusement after Cats in the Cradle. That's great. Yeah.
Honey was sung by Bobby Goldsboro in 1968. 13 weeks in the top 40, 5 of those weeks at number 1.
What the hell?
So it's 1968, possibly the most tumultuous year in the 20th century.
Yeah, that would do it.
The North Vietnamese launched the Tet Offensive, MLK and RFK assassinated, LBJ announced he's not running for re-election, campus protests, Paris student riots, Nixon nominated as a Republican candidate for president, and the DNC riots in Chicago. As for music, Jimi Hendrix, the Stones, the Beatles, and Johnny Cash, among others, released career-defining albums. So, how the heck did Honey rule the charts at number 1 for 5 weeks? How?
It's escapism?
And why weren't there riots in the streets over this? Honey planted twigs that grow into trees eventually, wrecked the car, but as you said in the words of Bobby, what the heck? Also, after she wrecked it, he pretended hard to be. And that line drove your mom up the wall because of the poor grammar and sentence structure. Anyway, yes, and she was also kind of dumb and kind of smart. Dumb, she married Bobby. Smart, she figured a way out. Then one day, while Bobby was out, the angels came and took Honey. And if he was out, How does he know the angels took her away?
That's a good point.
Maybe it was the Hells Angels? He could have asked the neighbors if they saw motorcycles in the driveway. And Bobby tells us, if we're still listening, he's being good, and he'd love to be with Honey if only he could. Running out into rush hour traffic could make that happen.
Yeah, there's an easy way to make that happen.
Oh, yeah, among others. Next.
Rubber Ball. I don't really have a problem with the song. It's fun and cute. Bobby V is trying desperately to be Buddy Holly.
Yes.
Especially with his vocals, but Buddy would never write lyrics like this, not in a million years. The message is important. This woman thinks she can bounce between two guys back and forth, and this guy feels like a rubber ball, and he's slowly becoming more worn out and tired, but he's so enamored with her, he comes back for more. Maybe a better song title would have been Doormat. I think where the song loses me is with the background singer singing Bouncy. It sounds a bit childish with how high it is in the register with the key of that song.
Because maybe that ball is bouncing high.
And then when they sing it over and over, it rubs me the wrong way because, again, the arrangement just has the notes border on shrill. It's almost good, but if you want something better, just listen to Buddy Holly. He's so much better than this, and it's a way better sound with that same Southern boy twang.
Mm-hmm. So Bobby V, 1960 and 1961. And Bobby V did some okay songs. This was not one of them. This was 11 weeks in the top 40, and it made it to number 6. And already we're in trouble at the start because, as you said, Bobby tries to make like Buddy Holly, aping Buddy's oohs, which I'm sorry I did that, Buddy. This is not good. Also, Bobby seems to be equating himself either to Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four or maybe Plastic Man. If you stretch my love till it's thin enough to tear, I'll just stretch my arms to reach you anywhere. So he's a groper. And like a rubber ball, I'll come bouncing back to you. I like to think she's armed with either a racquetball paddle or a baseball bat. And the bouncy bouncies in the background are annoying. I just want to bounce everyone off the walls that was involved with this song.
Next song, Young Girl. Officer, it's this one right here. Oh, this guy's a pedophile straight up. He found out that this girl isn't the age he thought she was, and suddenly this guy is all humbered. Oh, I feel so gross listening to this song, so yucky and rotten. This isn't love, and she isn't giving a come hither look. There was this Vine that came out a while ago where this guy approaches a girl, asks how old she is, and she says 16. Immediately, his friends swarm him and start yelling and pulling him away forcefully. This song is not romantic. This is creepiness on a stick. You know that my generation thinks unaliving pedophiles isn't a crime, right? I want all the people who wrote and recorded this song to have terrible lives. I want to do so many things to them to cause them physical harm that if this was network TV, I'd have to be bleeped out over and over again. And I know there'd be a punishment involving genitals in there somewhere too if I had my way. This song makes me legitimately angry, like I was physically getting agitated and my hands were twitching with the urge to strangle. I'm going to end this rant by dropping one F-bomb because of the people who manifested this into being. So to everyone involved with making Young Girl by Gary Puckett, 2 words. Fuck you.
Whoa.
Oh, I hate this song.
Did you just say unaliving?
Yeah, that's what you have to say on the internet now, because if you say the other words, then it means that you want to commit violence against somebody, so you have to say unalive.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, 1968. If you look at the album cover, they're going for some sort of hybrid between the Beatles, because they've got these uniforms, and the band, because they've got like the hair and the mustaches and the uniforms that could either be Sgt. Pepper or Civil War. Anyway, this spent 13 weeks in the top 40 and made it all the way to number 2. And when I was trying to decide between which Gary Puckett song to pick, either this one or Woman, I asked your mom, she said right away, Young Girl, because she just finds it really disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I hate Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. Hate. I had to sit through Gary once as he was one of the opening acts for the Monkees back in the 1980s when they got together.
No.
And it was Davey, Mickey, and Peter. And Mike called me and said, we've got to go see them. Fine, let's go see them. And it was, oh no. We saw Herman's Hermits without Peter Noon, who was the singer, the lead singer. And that didn't make any sense. And we had to suffer through Gary. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, I hate his voice, I hate his music, and I hate his lyrics. I don't even care whether he wrote them or not.
Just everything without the man.
Yes. Now, Gary's got it bad for the local Lolita. He tells her,
Well, I said Humbert earlier, so yeah.
you know, the police covered this territory much better with Don't Stand So Close to Me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gary tells her, she better run, girl. Yeah. And call the cops on Gary while you're at it.
Please call the cops. Oh my God.
At one point, he tells young girl to hurry home to her mama. And all I can think is, she's still hanging around listening to Gary's rant? I can only hope when young girl did get home, she told mama everything, and mama got her shotgun and went pocket hunting.
I hope so too.
And that's all I have to say about that, other than I just despise every single thing him and his band did. Everything.
So that F-bomb was earned.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Thank you for saying it so I didn't have to.
You're welcome. Next track. In the year 2525. Oh, I already hate this. Sci-fi meets a spaghetti western ballad? Totally. It's too jarring to be tolerable. Ugh. And the vocals sound gross with the backup singers at the beginning so nasally and whiny. And we're not even staying in 2525. We keep going up and up. If you want dystopia done bad without the great writing of 1984, The Giver, or Harrison Bergeron, you have this, which is if someone read these books while they were high or drunk and decided in an inebriated state to write a song about it. And don't bring God into this. He doesn't want to be in your shitty song. This is the first song I've ever listened to where I actively wanted to leave a hate comment on YouTube, and you know what? I hated it so much that I did. I did not care. People had to be brought to sense. And I did that with Young Girl and with Honey. I just want to watch the comment sections on these videos burn. I exist to spite these fans, and I am here for it. If you want better dystopia set to music, listen to David Bowie or Pink Floyd. Your ears will thank you.
Zager and Evans, 1969, the year of Woodstock.
I hate this.
12 weeks in the top 40. 6 of those weeks at number 1.
What the hell?
Holy shit. But it was their only hit. Oh, Lord, we thank thee. They were just one and done. But I bet this song put Zagers and Evans' kids through college. So, hey, good for them.
Yeah.
I swear, though, and I had your mom listen to this, 2525 starts off just like Dean Martin's version of That's Amore. Then Zager or Evans or both open their mouths and ruin it. So in the year 2525, if we're still alive, we may find in the year 3535 that, wait, hold up. Are any of us going to be able to hold out for another 1,010 years?
Oh, I'll be dead.
It better be worth it. And, of course, it's not.
No.
We leap another 1,010 years to 4545, where we won't need no teeth or eyes,
Oh, God.
nothing to chew, and nobody's going to look at us. And from the sounds of it, we must be in an old folks' home.
I want to erase this song from my memory so bad.
The kind of old folks' home that Homer threatened to put Abe in that he saw in 60 Minutes.
It'll be good.
Anyway, then there's 55-55, 65-65,
Make it stop, make
more
it
blah,
stop.
blah, blah, and then 75-75. No, wait, it's 75-10.
What?
Well, God shows up and declares it's Judgment Day. Apparently, the big guy can't wait another 65 years to 75-75. He's on a schedule. So then we jump ahead to 85-10, and guess what? God's still trying to figure out if he should keep Earth as it is or redecorate.
I don't want to remember this song anymore.
Decisions. Then we go to 95-95.
Oh, my God.
Man, now listen to this. Man's taken everything from Earth and put back nothing. Hell, we're doing that now, so we've got
Yeah,
almost
seriously.
a 75 year head start. Then it's the year 10,000, so far away. But we're told maybe it's only yesterday?
What? I hate this song so much. Make it stop.
Then Z and E jump back to 25-25 and start all over again, but thankfully for us, the song fades out. Now, here's my worry.
Right.
500 years from now, some clown is going to dig up this song and play it to commemorate the year.
No.
Luckily, I won't be around for that.
I'll be dead too.
But
What?
in 2025, some clown will dig up the song and say, only 500 years left. I'm Casey Kasem Jr.
Oh, no.
Ugh.
I'm I'm depressed now.
Well, let's jump to the next song and see if that'll make things any better.
Playground in my mind?
Probably not.
No. You know the annoying song Danny Elfman wrote for the Oompa Loompas in Tim Burton's god-awful remake of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
No, because I did not see it.
Good for you. That's what these opening vocalises remind me of, and I never saw that movie either, but I did hear that song, and it's so bad. I'm going to start Playground in my mind with 2 disclaimers. 1, there's nothing wrong with having a mental escape when life gets tough. 2, there's nothing wrong with embracing your inner child that's healthy and keeps you well-rounded. But there's a difference between embracing your inner child and being childish, and this feels childish. It also sounds like he's luring kids into a white van. Definitely not a guy I would trust to watch my baby cousins.
I wonder if he was friends with Gary Puckett.
Ugh. And I think the kid singing along is supposed to be his inner child, but it just sounds like a kid he's luring away like a Pied Piper-esque murderer. Another case of, that's him, officer, get him, wee-oo, wee-oo.
Okay, this is sung by Clint Holmes in 1973. 15 weeks in the top 40, spent 2 weeks at number 2. Now get this, another song on this list prevented it from being number 1.
What?
We'll find out. Stay tuned.
Okay.
This was Clint's only hit. Now, he was big in Las Vegas when we went back in 2006. There was signs for him everywhere. And this was right as he was ending his residency. He had been there for years. Now, Harrah's Casino renamed its main showroom for him.
Wow.
And I was stunned that he was that popular. And get this, in the 1980s, he was the announcer for Joan Rivers' talk show that was on Fox from, I think, 86 to 88.
Really?
And he won a daytime Emmy for some show that he hosted in New York.
I don't know.
So he did better in TV, I guess. Now, you have to get through a lot of ba-ba-ba-ba-bas before Clint graces us with his presence. He tells us when this whole world is getting him down, he goes up on the roof. No, wait a minute. That was the Drifters. Sorry, Drifters. Sorry. No, Clint closes his eyes and finds himself in the playground in his mind.
Oh, boy.
Where the children laugh and play, and they sing along with Clint. My name is Michael. I got a nickel, shiny and new. Mike's going to buy himself all kinds of candy. Now, this must mean that Clint also time travels when he goes to this playground as well to the early 1900s. In 1930, a nickel could get you a pack of double mint gum. Now get this, in 1940, a nickel could get you something called a chicken dinner candy bar, and I had to do research on this. It really did exist.
What was it?
It was basically nuts and chocolate and is considered a forerunner to today's power bars.
Huh.
Then Michael tells us he's going to marry Cindy. They'll have a kid or two and let them visit Grandma. As for Grandpa, he's either dead or SOL. I hope one time when Clint visits the playground in his mind, one of the kids calls the cops. Now, the last time I heard this song before this podcast was in the 1980s. B101, the local oldie station, played it. I called the station while the song was on and told the DJ this song is one of the reasons that punk had to happen. He got a good laugh and he actually mentioned the call after the song ended.
Good for you.
Next.
Sometimes when we touch. Just a general note, be careful how you use the word choke in a love song. That doesn't look good. Anyway, I think the piano and strings play beautifully. He sings really well and knows his range, and the chorus is romantic. When they touch, he wants to hold her till they die, and he doesn't want to screw this up. It's just 1 or 2 verses that need some work. Quote, I'd rather hurt you honestly than deceive you with a lie. I get what he's trying to say, but how about I don't want to hurt you at all? And I want to break you and get you down on your knees? In a non-sexual context, that's a bit of a red flag.
That reminds me of Rocky IV. I must break you.
But those are my only nitpicks with this song. It's 85% fine. Just edit those other 15%. Even without the edits, it's not the worst one on this list by a mile. A solid not bad.
Wow, okay, this is where we diverge.
Yeah.
This is Dan Hill, 1977 to 1978. 15 weeks in the top 40, made it to number 3. And then Dan had a hit 10 years later with Can't We Try? No, Dan, we cannot. I hate this song. I loathe it. I despise it. To me, this is the worst song ever. Not MacArthur Park. Given the choice between the two, I would rather listen to MacArthur.
I'd rather listen to this.
Nothing comes close. Now, Dave Barry put it perfectly describing Dan's singing style. He sounds as though he's having his prostate examined by Captain Hook.
Oh my God.
Oh, right off the bat, things don't look good for Dan's object of affection. You ask me if I love you, and I choke on my reply. The only thing that could make it better for us, but worse for the object of the affection, is if Dan did a Danny Thomas spit take instead of choking on his reply. You can see what a Danny Thomas spit take is on YouTube. He used to do them a lot on the Danny Thomas show. Dan would rather be honest instead of mislead her, which is fine, but he never really comes out and gives his answer. The lyrics really don't help. Old Dan's playing the obfuscation card. And then the worst lines. I want to hold you till I die, till we both break down and cry. Two things. First, you really want to die like that, Dan? Your poor girlfriend is left holding a corpse? But then again, she might think, oh, thank God he finally shut up. Second, if he dies first, then how can he break down and cry next? There's no logic to this. Listeners, I want you to know I suffered through the album cut because I couldn't find the single version. Maybe I should have looked harder.
I listened to
But
the music
that's
video.
an extra 39 seconds of my life I will never get back. I hope I never hear this song again. I had to go listen to The Clash's first album in its entirety to get this turd out of my head.
Yep, that's true. Can't confirm.
God bless The Clash. I have a feeling when I wind up in hell, sometimes when we touch, we'll just be playing on an eternal loop.
Bold of you to assume you'll end up there.
Well, it doesn't look good.
Mom likes this song though. She doesn't mind it.
I still love your mom, though.
Do you think it could be a gender thing or no?
No, because reading Dave's book, there are lots of women who hate it.
Okay, so it's just a
they
matter of
just
opinion.
like, man up, guy. Come on, do it for me.
Next track, My Love. Now listen, if this was someone breaking into the ballad industry for the first time, I'd say, pretty good first
For first try. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But for Paul McCartney, definitely not one of his best. I do not have a problem with the music. It's very pretty and has a solid romantic groove with occasional saxophone playing and a pretty strong horn section. And Paul still sounds fine. But the lyrics, he says the phrase my love too many times and the story of the romance doesn't really go anywhere. Reading that title, I was expecting something promising like Maybe I'm Amazed. And all those whoa, whoa, whoas get to be boring after a while. There's even a bit of a sour note towards the end as if the orchestra is bored too. I don't hate this song, but I'm just bored. This is why he needed the other three riding his tail. Too repetitive and drags on longer than it needs to. We need better word choice here.
Yep, Paul McCartney, 1973, 15 weeks in the top 40, 4 of them at number 1. Now this was the song that prevented Playground in my mind from hitting number 1.
Oh, thank God.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Paul, so much to answer for. Listening to this, it's hard to believe he was a Beatle in half of one of the greatest songwriting teams ever. Jeez Louise. But this is Exhibit A that maybe Paul really did die back in the 60s, and a double's been taking his place ever since. And those whoa, 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 whoas. Oh my God. When I told your mom, hey, guess what song this is? And went, whoa, whoa, whoa. The first thing she said was Feelings, which shows how bad this song is. This is Linda-inspired Drek.
Oh, no.
It's her fault because if she hadn't done it good, Paul never would have created this.
Oh.
But here's the thing.
Yeah?
Right after this syrup, Paul turned it around. Comes out with Live and Let Die, his next single, one of the greatest James Bond themes ever, and follows that up with his best album, Bands on the Run, and then followed that up with the solid Venus and Mars.
Maybe he just needed to purge the crap before he could write the good stuff.
It's just proof that he can when he wants to.
But he doesn't always want to.
Yeah, because after that run, it was back to meh albums that would have 1 or 2, if we were lucky, really good songs on them.
You know who never had this problem? George. Just saying.
Well, some of his albums were in the 70s.
You bite your tongue. You bite your tongue. I will not tolerate this either.
Plus, I mean, I do have Tug of War, but that came out in 1982. And some of his 90s stuff has gotten really good reviews, so I might check that out, especially his album Flaming Pie. Critics love it. That came out in 1997, I believe.
You be careful, the critics aren't always right.
Sometimes they are.
Next track, Candyman. How dare you say this is bad? I love the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and I love this song, The Candyman, so much. I used to pretend I was one of the kids sitting at the candy counter. I still know the exact moment when the children are about to pull the candy buttons. I still mime that to this day. Now, as for this version, yeah, we could do without the lines of dialogue at the beginning. And the studio recording is not the best version he's done. I saw another one on YouTube where he performed this as a regular Sammy Davis ballad without the children's choir in the background. Get rid of the choir because it would be perfect, because Sammy plus joyful music and lyrics by Anthony Newley and Leslie Bricusse on its own would be wonderful, especially when it's one of the most beloved songs of all time. And as for Sam himself, well, he's Sam and his voice is wonderful as always. This version is okay, but watch him sing the more stripped-down version of it live, where it's a pretty similar arrangement, note for note, as the movie. That one is perfect.
Really?
Yes, it exists.
Might give that a shot because...
that one's totally fine.
This is Sammy Davis Jr. with The Loathsome Mike Curb Congregation. 1972, 16 weeks in the top 40, 3 of them at number 1. Sammy's only number 1 hit, and guess what?
Mm-hmm.
He hated it.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Hated it. This is from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the only movie version of Roald Dahl's book that matters.
Yes.
Dahl wrote the screenplay himself, so there.
Co-wrote it.
Anyway, Aubrey Woods sings the song in the movie in his role as Bill the Candy Store Man.
Mm-hmm.
Lyricist Anthony Newley hated Woods' version.
Which we don't know what. Do we know why?
He just didn't like it because he thought, oh, this is not going to get nominated for an Oscar. He wanted to dub in his own voice, but Woods' contract forbade that, and good for him. Newley recorded his own version. Never heard it, but I bet it had a lot of vibrato.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like Mack truckfuls of vibrato. And you know what? I like Aubrey Woods' version.
I do too.
Because in the context of the movie, it really makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it's seeing all that candy and seeing the kids losing their shit over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sammy just sounds like he doesn't want to be in the studio at all, and I feel bad for him. I couldn't find any info on how Sammy was talked into doing this version, because he didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he lost a bet. Mike Curb produced this, so he stuck in his crappy congregation group on it to provide background vocals. They do provide an unintentionally hilarious moment at the beginning. After Sammy says, "You've come to the right place because I'm the Candyman," they go, "Ooh," leading me to believe that Sammy has just whipped out his Snickers bar. Who can take a rainbow, wrap it in a sigh?
Don't you dare make fun of the lyrics. I will not tolerate this slander.
Well, listen, soak it in the sun and make a groovy lemon pie?
Wait, that wasn't the lyric. It was soak it in the sun and then collect up all the cream.
Wrap it in a sigh.
Wrap it aside. Oh,
Sigh
pie,
rhymes
yeah.
with pie.
Sorry, I was thinking of different lyrics later on.
Your guy there, what's his name from Musicals with Cheese?
Jess?
No, the guy who did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, Brent Black?
Yeah, he would be all over you for trying to rhyme sigh with cream.
No. That was a faux pas. Sorry, Brent.
Okay, anyway, soak it in the sun and make a groovy lemon pie, man. Cannot make that up. Anthony Newley did, though, and I still can't believe he was once married to Joan Collins.
Hey, they were in love.
She must have found out his Three Musketeers bar was only fun size. Yep, I went there again, and I'm not proud.
Get out.
Anyway, get this. In 2014, Sammy's vocals were sampled to create a virtual duet with Barry Manilow for his My Dream Duets album. Really, Barry? That's the song you would want to sing with Sammy Davis Jr., considered one of the greatest entertainers of the 20th century.
Maybe that would be the only one where Barry could hold his own.
Could be. Oh, and we're not done with you, Barry. Oh, no, not yet. No. Why? Because...
Copacabana. I can't hate this song because of how it was used at your wedding, but we'll get there when we get there. That story's hilarious. Listen, this song isn't my favorite, but I don't hate it. I wouldn't download it on my iPod, but if I heard it on the dance floor, I'd sing along and dance. And the story is great. There's a love triangle, someone gets shot, and there's big dreams. At least unlike My Love, there's a plot, and I love songs with plot. But then there's this big instrumental and the story stops, and I want to find out who shot who, damn it, which we eventually do, poor Tony. And it gets quite sad when we see Lola drinking herself to death juxtaposed with cheery music. I think where the song gets thrown off sometimes is with the background singers singing way too low for the key the song is in, Copacabana.
Oh, yeah.
With and singing the words Copacabana over and over with those stupid vocalizations. Plus, when the horns hit a note too high, it's painful on the ears. The most stupid lyric easily is "Have a banana," which, what, was this sponsored by Chiquita or something? But then I realized, if you want a better version of this kind of song, listen to Peter Allen sing "When My Baby Smiles at Me, I Go to Rio." But moral of Copacabana? Don't fall in love. A great song for a good laugh.
Barry Manilow, 1978. 9 weeks in the top 40, made it to number 8. Barry Manilow, what can I say? He was going to make this list come hell or high water. Anyway, Lola, Showgirl, Tony, Bartender, Rico, Diamond Wearer.
See, the story by itself is great.
Well, the thing is, this was eventually made into a musical. It played on in London for 2 years, and then it toured the United States for a year. So we're taking like a 4-minute song and stretching it out to an hour and a half, maybe. This is like, I don't know, taking a pill for your headache to make the headache last longer.
Or this is like taking a book of poetry about cats that was written for children and trying to set a musical to it with a coherent plot.
Anyway, Rico, Diamond Wearer. Rico makes a pass at Lola. Tony loses his shit. Rico shoots Tony dead, who in a way is lucky because he doesn't have to hear Barry sing anymore. Time jump 30 years later. Lola is still in her costume at the bar drinking herself blind. Lesson, don't fall in love, Barry tells us. Thanks a lot, Bear. This reminds me of the saying, women mourn, men replace. But 30 years, come on, Lola. Was Tony really all that?
He was probably
Yeah, but, okay, let me ask you.
What?
If you were in this situation, would you mourn for 30 years or would you eventually move on?
No, like we talked, there's a podcast called High Flying Adored where these two people review musicals while they're absolutely high on marijuana. And they talk about Love Never Dies where it's 10 years later and the Phantom still isn't over Christine. And one of the hosts goes, no, it's not that he can't get over her. He's having a fucking meltdown. He's actively losing his mind. Yeah, if you were mourning somebody for 30 years, I would be like, maybe you need a therapist, maybe you need help, because it's very clear that you have not learned healthy grief coping mechanisms and you need some serious help.
Especially this was the 70s, the I'm okay, you're okay decade.
But here's the thing. If Lola had any friends, how did they let her get to this point where she still can't get over this guy after 30 years?
That's a very good point.
What the hell, Lola's friends? You guys suck.
Plot holes. Yep. Anyway, in 1979, Barry won a Grammy for Best Male Pop Vocal. What a way to close out the 70s. Thankfully, he beat out nominee Dan Hill for Sometimes When We Touch. Unthankfully, he also beat out Jackson Browne for Running on Empty and Jerry Rafferty for Baker Street. Given the choice, I would have voted for Jerry Rafferty for Baker Street. And two things. One, back in the St. Margaret's days, your Uncle Michael sang this song in a talent show and had girls back as backup singers, and apparently it was the living end. I opted not to see his performance. So thankful because I could, once it's seen, it can never be unseen.
Yeah.
And yes, when your mom and I had our wedding reception, we told the crowd if they wanted us to see us kiss, don't clink the glasses because that's annoying. We came up with something that we thought would never happen. They would have to stand up and sing a part of Copacabana, never thinking in a bajillion years anyone would do it. Wrong.
Spoiler alert, they did.
So many people did it.
And you can see it all documented on my parents' wedding video.
And so much kissing, which was not a problem.
But it was how you got to the kissing that was a problem.
Oh my God and baby Jesus. And that's the Dirty Dozen from Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs. But wait.
There's more.
We have an unlucky 13th song. Something not in Dave's book because bad music is still being made. You may think it's not, but it is.
Moves Like Jagger. If you want to watch a great deconstruction of the song, watch Todd in the Shadows video explaining some of the absurdity of it.
I love that guy.
Yep. I love Moves Like Jagger.
Okay,
First,
defend yourself.
For the catchiness of the music with the whistling in the chorus. Second, I love flirty banter that has sexual tension simmering underneath. The biggest problem with this song for me is the title, Moves Like Jagger. because Jagger cannot dance. And if we're referring to having moves in the context of sex, then someone's gonna get hurt. It could be worse. Could be moves like Joe Cocker. I remember when this song came out, you couldn't escape it. Do I need a minute? Hold on.
All right, I'm okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I remember when this song came out, I couldn't escape it, and I didn't want to because it's fun. I only hated it when I saw Adam Levine perform this live on YouTube, and he hit the entirely wrong note. Oh, it was bad. And I think he might be the reason this song is aged poorly, because who'd want to sleep with a man who cheated on his wife and then named their baby after the mistress?
Was this the recent controversy?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Not for me. As for Christina Aguilera's bridge, we could cut it entirely. We don't need it. It's supposed to provide the perspective of the woman, but it's just a brief 30 seconds that don't do anything for the song. I'm 99% sure she was on there because the voice was popular and they wanted to do a collab. That's fine, just use a different song, but a fun jam I still dance to.
Maroon 5, 2011, 4 weeks at number 1.
Yep.
That's a
Sounds
whole
about
month
right.
wasted. Good old moron Maroon 5. 21st century pop at its most faceless and lifeless.
Yes.
And I know. I'm not the first person to make the moron joke.
No, Todd in the Shadows has been doing it long before you.
It's just so easy to go to that well.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, when this song came out, I thought it was Adam Levine's solo, which when you think of it, Maroon 5 is probably that, because can anyone name another band member? Didn't think so.
Yeah.
This is corporate pop at its best/worst.
Mm-hmm.
There was corporate rock in the 70s where you had groups like Foreigner, Journey, Boston, where you could name one person but no one else.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I find the lyrics generic for the most part, and it took 4 people to come up with these cliches. You shoot for the stars if it feels right. Later, we get some car driving equals sex cliches. At one point, Adam wants her to take him by his tongue. I only hope it's to pull it out so we don't have to hear this anymore. But nope. The music starts off with what sounds like auto-tuned whistling. And correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it sounded like Adam's voice was auto-tuned in spots as well.
Oh, yeah, that's why he hit the entirely wrong note. Like, I remember when, what was it, they did the Beatles Come to America tribute, they had Maroon 5 sing Ticket to Ride. It wasn't bad, but Paul McCartney's face was just,
Aghast.
Yeah, well, not aghast, it was just polite indifference.
Okay, so we get the auto-tuned whistling, then a bass drum beat, and then to me, what sounds like farts are added.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of for that synth sound or whatever the hell it is. Adam sings, "You want the moves like Jagger." Oh, sure, Adam, blame her. I got the moves like Jagger. And how he'll own her with these moves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Anyway, Christina Aguilera shows up, and I gotta say, I will give her credit. She keeps her singing under control. She hits each note and moves on instead of stretching them out
She does it
like she is wont to do. However, she's given more cliches to sing. She deserves better, as her singing is actually the best part of the song. Now, why would Adam have Christina show up? Could it be they were both on The Voice? Yeah, could be. This song debuted on that show. How convenient. As for moving like Jagger, look. I'm just going to say Mick Jagger was and is the leader of one of the greatest rock and roll bands ever. The Rolling Stones, for those of you in remedial class. Anyway, they could rock, and their songs will live on long after we're all gone. But as for his dance moves, no. Check out the video for Start Me Up for an example. Reminds me of the medical condition known as St. Vitus dance, also known as Sydenham chorea, which involved rapid, irregular, and aimless involuntary movement of all 4 limbs. St. Vitus is considered the patron saint of dancers. Apparently, he was out of the office when Mick was petitioning him to make Mick as good a dancer as James Brown. Mick's perfect dance partner? Elaine Bennis.
Oh, yeah, that would work.
And you can probably see her dance moves on that Seinfeld episode on YouTube.
When Julia Louis-Dreyfus got her Mark Twain prize, they had some trained ballet dancers do an entire choreographed dance around Lane Bennis's dance moves, and they said it's really hard to dance that badly on purpose, especially when you're trained and you know how to do it right.
So if Adam really whips out the moves like Jagger, I hope the object of his affection calls emergency.
Overall, listeners, I do hope you appreciate our suffering on your behalf. There was nothing scary that we could think of for Halloween than listening to bad music on purpose. What we learned today is that music is very personal, and if you like these songs, then I'm not going to change your mind. But what I can do is disrupt the gene pool with my opinions and cause some mischief. There are probably some of you out there who hate the music Dad and I like, but you're still willing to listen to the show. And for that, we thank you. Now go listen to some better stuff than this, please.
These songs are awful, and I really hope I never have to hear any of them again. And looking over this list, I realized that all the songs are sung by men. This was not intentional.
Yeah.
Next year, like with all good horror movies, TV shows, whatever, we can do a sequel, all bad songs sung by women, because they can be just as bad as men.
You light up my
How
life.
bad? Go listen to It Must Be Him by Vicky Carr or anything by the Carpenters. And the one thing that surprised me with a lot of these songs, checking out the videos on YouTube just for the lyrics, were the millions of hits that these videos got.
Millions of views.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm not up on the hip lingo that you kids have nowadays. And the comments, one after another, oh, this song means everything to me. I was just stunned. Every great once in a while, they'd be like, I hate this song. And you hit me to something that I didn't realize, that they don't do the thumbs down.
And yeah, you can still dislike the video, but on YouTube, you can't see the like to dislike ratio anymore. You only see the likes.
Interesting. Now,
Yeah.
listeners, did we miss a song that you hate? Let us know. And also, are there any of these songs that you like? Let us know and defend yourself.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to the first ever installment of My Dad Does Not Listen to This. We'll be back with our regularly scheduled programming next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, because remember, the more you interact with the video, the more visibility we get on YouTube. If you follow me on social media, I post all the episodes there, and if you're friends with my dad, then just shoot him an email with what episode you want to hear, and he can email it right to your inbox. And I'm really going to plug the Ko-Fi this time. If you enjoyed us suffering on your behalf, don't forget to leave a little donation in the Ko-Fi. Thank you for listening to the first ever installment of My Dad Does Not Listen to This. This is probably the first album that we truly did nitpick and gripe about, so we'll be better with our regularly scheduled content next time. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Whoa, 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 horse. Whoa, whoa.